But Chakri Lokapriya as well joins in to talk about what he's making of the market right now. Chakri, hi, afternoon. What explains this sudden panic kind of dip in the market?
Indeed, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Not really sure. I guess it's a round of profit taking, and there also been lots of poll numbers, surveys. So I think all these kinds of newses and rumors is what. But otherwise, globally, I don't, undomestically, there's nothing really negative about the market.
Chakri, lots going on within the banking pack, right? I mean, for Kotak Bank, Mr. Manian stepping down. Tomorrow you've got the earnings as well. And then, of course, you've got Bajaj Finance, where RBI has lifted the ban up now. And they could really clean up their books in just 5.5 odd months. Does that bring in hope for a Kotak, you think? And could Kotak be a better trade right now?
With Kotak, the RBI ban was 1 second. Now with Manian leaving the bank, and also after a number of people have left the bank, I guess that will kind of take the management focus a little bit away from operations, and that will kind of impact growth going forward, compounded by the RBI. So, while this Manian story was not known 2-3 days ago, this is now will something which will hold back Kotak Bank. I guess similar thing will also hold back Federal Bank. And the whole private sector banks are going through some issue or the other. On the other hand, PSU banks are reporting strong earnings.
That's the take coming in on Kotak Mahindra Bank. Just wanted to highlight the latest update coming in on Raymond when the company decided to consolidate the engineering business of Raymond and MPPL to build scale and profitable growth with foray into the sunrise sector such as aerospace, defense and electric vehicle component space, and then segregation of the aerospace and defense business coming in. So a bit of a rejig coming in with the company deciding to perhaps consolidate all the engineering business into one particular company and then segregating it into another one. So that's the latest coming in on Raymond. We are tracking what's happening to that stock. But separately, Chakri, wanted to get a sense from you regarding the entire consumer durable space. And I was just looking at the stock price of Electronics Mart India, which is a retailer of consumer durables, and that's spiking. We saw the numbers coming from Havells as well. Apart from the turnaround in Lloyd's, there was good growth in consumer durable. Blue Star and Voltas both reported good set. What's the outlook here and what's the preferred way to play it?
Consumer durables, I guess, sort of, if you take a couple of different kinds, one is the Voltas and the Blue Star will do well because Voltas was losing market share. There were other big competitors who are coming in. Product innovation was not there. All that is reversing for Voltas and it's coming back. On the other hand, in the same durables, auto sales have been strong. So which means battery companies, Exide, Amara Raja, both market leaders. Amara Raja still trading at a very low valuation. So I think within consumer durables, there are very different types of durables, but they continue to show strong growth.
Okay, that's the take coming in on some of those majors which came by with their numbers.
But Chakri, what's the latest, favorite within the pharma pack, if I can ask you that? Because there have been big buzzes apart from, Ajanta Pharma, Piramal Pharma is waiting by for its earnings. There are a lot of other names which have been doing quite well of late. And the earnings haven't been disappointing, at least the numbers that we've got so far. And come Monday morning, we'll be waiting by for Lupin, etc. as well. Within pharma, what's the pecking order?
Pharma as a space, clearly we're not focused on as much because the growth is kind of okay, but Ajanta Pharma, for example, Cipla, some kind of a product launch, because they have a number of products online. There's one product launch which is expected fairly soon. I think that will provide a catalyst to the company. In all those companies which have branded generics are seeing margin upticks because that is a higher margin business. And right now in the US, you are seeing some kind of a volume uptick in that bit of the business. So against this backdrop, I think, Ajanta Pharma, Cipla is, both of them are well situated. But other than that, as a space, we're not concentrated that much.
That's some of the opportunities within pharma as a space. But let's get in some BTST ideas too. Or Kunal, is it going to be STBT?
No, so far BTST, but I'll stick to two buy calls. But both of them are both of the names are stronger ones in terms of price trends. Exide Industries is something which looks attractive. The stock is still trading with a positive bias. In fact, has made a fresh swing high today, breaking past about the 460 barrier. So would suggest 488 as a target, and stop loss could be kept at 460. And Voltas is something which I've been recommending over the last couple of days with a potential target of 1520. It still looks very attractive, has been a very stable uptrend, and so would suggest a buy with a revised stop loss at 1476, but target remains the same at 1520.
Right. Rudramurthy, what about your BTST ideas?
I'm picking two buy calls. One is McDowell. McDowell looks very, very strong, and in a weak market like today, it is performing on the upside. So, in fact, 10 rupees it has already moved from the levels where I gave a buy call. So, we can just shift the target to 1235 zone with a stop loss of 1200 and a buy call on Biocon, looking at targets of 315 with a stop loss of 300.
Okay, point taken. So that's the view coming in on some of these names. But Chakri, what about real estate pack? Whether it's a Sobha or Prestige, DLF, they've all run up quite a bit. Of course, Godrej Properties over this week has given you a buying opportunity of sorts on account of that entire reject. The numbers today looked all right, and they're talking about a guidance for FY25, which is coming in at a heavy base. So they're talking about booking value of 27,000 crores, and this compares to 22,000 crores that they delivered and was a big beat versus their own initial guidance that they started the FY24 year with. Chakri, within the real estate pack, and especially on Godrej Properties, what would be your recommendation?
Real estate as a pack, we had like Prestige and Shobha in the past. I think now the whole sector has run up, including Godrej. And, while the beat was there, the order book is there. I think all those expectations were already kind of built into those numbers. And now if you look at their book valuations, they are trading at a far more premium than they normally do. So I understand the cycle about interest rates and all that. But given this, I think now it's time to take some chips off the table of real estate.
Right. Okay. Those are some of the, realty ideas coming in from Chakri right now. But Chakri, the decline in L&T, it's due to report its numbers as well come next week, and I think early itself, and then the move in BHEL today.
Indeed, I think L&T kind of weakness should be bought into. If you look at some of the industrial names, they're all reporting very strong numbers. You look at a company like Skipper, which is again infra T&D spend, and they've reported the highest revenue ever, highest order book ever, highest EPS growth ever. So things like that. So naturally, L&T should also benefit from this for the very same reasons. And you've seen BHEL, the kind of move it is. And L&T is clearly decently valued, so I would be a buyer of L&T.
Okay, so we'll be a buyer as far as L&T is concerned. That's the view coming in on some of these stock recommendations. Just wrapping up the day in the next 5 minutes and the week as well. And it's been overall a steady week. It's the PSU banking index which actually has managed to outperform quite a bit. Slowly and steadily, we have seen those move come in the PSU banking name. So, Rudramurthy, what will be your pick? I know you talked about SBI, but if I had to ask you about, let's say, mid PSU banks or the small PSU banks, which other names would you recommend as a buy?
Say, I will surely remain only in PSUs, especially in stocks like Union Bank, or even if you have to pick up similar ones. Yes, for me, even Bank of Baroda is another good pick one can look into. So definitely PSU banks will outperform, and you can look at Union Bank, and at current levels, for me, Union Bank is looking very, very attractive. And I expect from current levels another 20% kind of a move in very short term. So buy at current levels of around 150, 155 zone, and look at targets of around 180 to 200. But however, keeping in mind even F&O, I will like Canara Bank. Canara Bank will be my top pick, available in F&O currently at around 630 in futures. One can buy in futures for a target of 670, 680 to come, and keep a tight stop loss of around 610. It's a 1:4 kind of a risk reward at current market price.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on the PSU banking names. So apart from SBI, there are some smaller banks that you might still want to recommend. Chakri, within this earnings season that has gone by, we have seen sharp negative reaction coming in for the earnings that was not liked by the street. Whether it's a Coforge, whether it's a lot of other IT companies or banking names as well. Anything that now enters the buying zone for you, or even Kotak Mahindra Bank, for instance?
If you look at what's happened in the case of Coforge, clearly when the company suspended its guidance, the revenue guidance going out in the next year, that kind of put the dampener on the stock. So that's become the key word. One is the outlook for the stocks. If the outlook is fairly good, which is the case with the industrial stocks, I think clearly that's a space which we would continue to buy. Second, if you look at, if industrials are doing well, then packaging films and all those companies should do well. So when you said about valuations, like for example, companies like Cosmo First, Polyplex, all these companies are packaging companies which have come down quite sharply. Their earnings were weak, but then, with the economy picking up and industrial activity picking up, now these are companies which are in the value zone, which are looking good to buy.
So Chakri, very quickly, before we let you go, if the markets were to correct further, is your shopping list ready? And give us a brief color on what it's like.
It'll be more about buying within the industrials CapEx space. So companies like Skipper, that we mentioned about, within the industrial space, companies like Timken, Schaeffler, SKF Bearings, then these packaging companies like Cosmo First. These are the companies, I think there's a large amount of upside given the earnings are expected to grow north of 30%. That's something which in common all these stocks have.
Okay, let's begin winding up for the day then. Chakri, good to have you on the show as always.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.